I've been working on being able to get the lighting so that you can see the view from sitting on top of the hill. Um, it's a little whitened out above that blue line. That blue line is kind of low mountains or the hills, um, at somewhere between where the land starts and kind of the middle of the Olympic Peninsula. The Olympic Mountains are just a ways in, and they're kind of a big circle in the middle of the Olympic Peninsula. And this is the passage, um, Admiralty Inlet, where the people fish and the boats that come in from the Pacific Ocean um, travel along this Admiralty Inlet to Seattle, where things are maybe dropped off and picked up. Um, anyway, boats go through here. Um, Cruise ships and also submarines, because right, right over. Let's see that that way, right over that way is Bremerton, and I believe it's in Bremerton that the uh, new clear submarines um, when they're in port. That's where they, I think, port. And then they travel out. No, out to the Pacific Ocean, which is that way. So this is Steve, and I've decided to sit kind of out of the light today because the camera was always focusing on me, and I wanted the camera to focus on that, the water and everything that's over that way. So today I'd like to just address the kind of topic of addictions, and it won't be heavy. My intention is not to be heavy about it, but I was having a good conversation with a dear friend of mine um, who has really done a lot of work on herself and on her addictive tendencies to get clearer and clearer to the point where um, she's, yeah, I would say she's becoming okay with life. And her life externally is really good, but it doesn't matter how good. You can have this externally, maybe you find this beautiful, so you can have this externally what appears to be beautiful life outside, but if you're miserable inside, that it's just another shitty day in paradise, basically. And I've seen that bumper sticker, and I guess it's real popular in Hawaii. It's just another shitty day in paradise because depending on how you're doing, that's how the world is for you. Even if the world is disturbed, which it is at times, maybe constantly, I'm not sure. But if the world's disturbed, but you're in a really good place within yourself, then you're not projecting that, you're not being affected quite as much by that projection of the disturbed world. You're more in your space, bringing your energies into the world, while the world's energies are recognized, but not necessarily attuned to. So we're in the last 8 months of a 28-year healing cycle. 4 years of physical, 4 years of 7 years of physical, 7 years of mental, 7 years emotional, 7 years spiritual. So it started in 97. It completes in 2025, March 23rd, because that was the date when it was initiated. So I know that's the closing date. And what exactly it's going to mean, I don't know. I was I was, part of some people who did some work to initiate this cycle in, and and we're clearing on a spiritual level now. So much of much of the stuff we've held on to from the past or haven't completed is coming up to be completed, and yeah, the past few years for many of us, and I'm just going to move this a little bit out of the light and see if we still get. I just need to get my head out of the sun, not so I can see better or you can see me better, but so that I'm not, getting bombarded with solar rays right now. I've been sitting in the sun. It's been good. So this cycle of the spiritual cleansing began in 2018. It goes to 2025, and it's the vibration has been rising since 97. So 97 to 2004, 1997 to 2004 was the rising to help clear the physical energetics. And we would have noticed that during that time, and a lot of people have said the timing has correlated with their experience. 97 to 2004 was the cleansing of the physical. And so then we went through the cleansing of the mental, the emotional. Now we're in the cleansing of the spiritual, which the spiritual involves the cleansing of the physical, mental, and emotional. So it's just another layer of clearing. But the reason it's all taking place is because this cycle of cleansing has to do with this rising vibration. And as this vibration rises, our stuff comes up. The term is cymatics. You can go to YouTube and watch some videos on cymatics that show how the vibrational frequency, the sound, the frequency changes the matter. So frequency affects matter. So we are matter and we are frequency, but when the external frequency of the world goes up, then we either go up with it or we resist it. We resist letting go of this world we're holding on to. And if we hold on to this world, we're going to probably be fairly miserable. Now, I'd say I'm all on board in my consciousness and my words. I say, oh, I'm on board. I'm ready for this change. I'm participating in this change. And yet my physical, mental, and emotional is like, oh, I'm struggling. Well, that struggle is in the mind, it's in the heart, it's in the body. If we're struggling, we're creating struggle through our resistance to change. If we're not resisting change, then we struggle much less. This has been my experience. This isn't theoretical physics. This is experiential physics. If you're not resisting changing, the change occurs much more easily. That's been my experience. It might have been your experience. It's probably been all our experience. That discomfort has to do with the resistance to letting go. That's all there is to it. And I'm not saying that's all there is to it. You just let go and everything will be good. But that's true. If you let go, everything will be much better. And if you don't let go, everything will probably seem worse. But why do we want to hold on to our attachment to a world that appears to have been so dysfunctional and is? But it's breaking down. That world is breaking down. It can't be held. It's an illusory world. It can't be held in the way it's been. It wasn't working for most anybody, but maybe the elite, what might be termed the elite. Maybe it was working for them, but I don't think it was working for them either. I think this is a whole silly mess of trying to keep this old order of things going when it's not working. So we're going to let go of that old order, and we're going to participate in the reordering of things. And there's only 8 more months to go in terms of the cleansing process. What'll happen March 23rd of 2025. I have no prior knowledge. I'm just getting through this last 8 months. That's my goal. So one of the things that I've really gone down to just a few videos, one or two videos in a week, because of my own maybe resistance to change, which has just caused all this stuff to go on in the physical body, mental body, emotional body, spiritual body. And I had kind of a breakthrough yesterday and today. So I had on Thursday I went and saw a chiropractor who I've been worked on now a couple times by. Has been very good. If you know applied kinesiology, there's a lot of applied kinesiology. There's a lot of like tapping, body work kind of. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on in that office. And I experienced it on Thursday. And so Thursday, Friday, which was yesterday, Friday I've been detoxing. So I've been detoxing for 11 months. Just things coming out. Uh, you know, uh, Chemicals that might have been in food or chemicals that I took into my body to change my experience, whatever it was. I'm not doing those things now. So that stuff is just coming out. I'm not trying to affect change by altering my consciousness through chemicals. Well, I think I started off talking about addiction. So, kind of the last thing, possibly the last, we don't know until that one's clear and then we see if there's another, but kind of the last kind of addictive tendency for me was related to food, was related to just not eating when it felt appropriate or when I felt hungry, but eating whenever I felt like I needed to change my experience through food. So it's just another addiction. And what I've been discovering, because all whatever other substances that I might have used to change my experience are gone. They're in the past, and this last thing was food, and just too much of it. Not large quantities, but just I think I'll eat again. 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 And the body needs a certain period of time to digest what you've eaten. So if you start stacking it up, it tends to throw all the processes of digestion off and the processes of elimination that need to be spaced within the process of digestion. There's digestion, there's elimination. There's elimination through the skin. It's the largest organ of the body is the skin. There's elimination through the bowels. There's elimination through the bladder. There's elimination through the breath. Sometimes through the mouth. And I initiated a cleansing regime, which just involved primarily Epsom salt baths. And I initiated this kind of, I think, May or June of last year. And probably 4 or 5 times a week, I would just soak in Epsom salts to detox through the skin. And I really set a lot of detox into motion. It may have been happening just because of the rising vibration. It may have been happening because the detox baths that I was stimulating detox. But it got to the point where I got congested. My left ear got plugged up. It had fluid. I felt, tipped off to one side. My balance was not good, and I felt ill. And this has been going on, I'd say now could be up to a month. Some days not as bad, maybe just 2 weeks, but it's been something I've been aware of and working with and trying to do things about and not being able to change. So I went to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor said the issues that I was experiencing, some of the physical discomfort and some of the things I was going on had to do with the large intestine, the liver, and the and dehydration. So I've been addressing all of those things, and but I was just been pulling things out of my skin through these detox baths without doing in any internal support of elimination. So I've the past few days I've done a lot of this. So and today I've done, coffee enemas I did a couple days ago, and again today. There's saltwater flushes where you get really good salt. I'm using, I think, the Celtic salt from um, Brittany in France. I know it's Brittany, but it's in France. But that Celtic salt from that region, I've been using that salt recently, and so I did a saltwater flush. So that involves a quart of water, um, and 3 teaspoons. And I did level. I didn't do heaping. I did level teaspoons. 3 teaspoons of salt, and you drink it down. Go. Quart of water, 3 teaspoons of salt. You drink it down, and what that does is the body realizes that's way too much salt for the body. So it goes through the entire digestive system. If there's any kind of bacteria or anything that's not useful bacteria, and also the useful bacteria, it basically the salt water just kind of flushes it all out, um, and you get a really clean intestinal system. If you after that want to do, you can look it up online. After that, if you want to do a coffee enema, which breaks down any matter kind of adhered to the wall of your large intestine, that can work too. And I did that as well today, and really just got my system cleared out. And once I got my system cleared out, my kind of the fullness in my ear had been clearing, but it really cleared, and I got energy back. That may have been the caffeine in the coffee enema, but anyway, I had a lot of energy, and felt functional for the really physically well and functional for the first time in weeks. I've been doing okay, but just not having any energy. I really needed a clean house. So if you're having any of these things going on, and feel like it's really time to clean house, you can look up these things. You can look up a saltwater flush. You can look at, if you have a bathtub, these cleansing baths. How much Epsom salts do they recommend? Half cup, cup. There's other things you can put in, like baking soda, but that tended to dry things out too much. So I stuck with the um, Epsom salts. So this process of we're being, I'm going to move, we're going to you're going to lose the blue of the water, but I'm just going to get a little more out of the sun. We're going to we're just going through a cleansing process, and it's going to be physical, it's going to be mental. It is. It's not going to be. It is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And the more we can do to support our physical, our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual, the easier this last 8 months of this transition is going to be. Um, I think that's enough. I think that's probably more than enough. Maybe some more detail than you really need to have. But I feel like it's a good idea for letting people know, just because a person puts themselves out as a healer does not mean they're not without symptoms. That means they know how to work with their system, and if they do it, then they can have results. I also have set up fields. I do all the things that I do with my clients, with myself, and that's been helpful, but it needed to go beyond. It needed to go beyond the spiritual on some levels and really get down and dirty with the physical, or down and clean with the physical, which is really what I've been doing the last few days, and also been supporting my system with good chiropractic care. What's good chiropractic care? You gotta got to kind of figure that out for yourself. I just lost the picture for a moment. So anyway, let's just say that that's all for today, and I hope these words in some way serve you. And now let's go.